What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to tell y'all how to deal with Snake-Eye Fiendsmith. This deck's crazy. We all know it's crazy. Ever since Infinite Forbidden released, we knew this deck was going to be even better. The Fiendsmith stuff allows for a way higher power ceiling and way more extension, as if the deck needed any more of those things. But the first card we're going to talk about is Snake-Eye Ash. This is the deck's focal point. I would say it's their number one starter, so it is never a bad idea to stop this card. But how you stop this card is very important. So the number one way to stop this card is infinite impermanence. Effect Veiler is also equally as good, except it does turn on talents, and it is, of course, it is putting a monster in your graveyard, which I doubt they're playing, Luna the Light Charmer or whatever. But anyways, the reason Imperm and Veiler are good against Snake Eyes Ash is because it turns off the whole card, not just the search effect. So if you have an Ash Blossom and you are using Ash Blossom on Snake Eyes Ash on the add effect, don't do that. That's not a good idea. Now, if you really want to risk it, sure, be my guest. But with the way their hands are, I doubt that's going to do anything, because if they ever get another body on the field, they're just going to go full combo, and it's just GG's at that point. The next card I want to talk about is the Witch. The Witch is a very powerful extender in this deck, and it can also be a starter. So the Witch has to be handled a little bit differently. You have to really consider the board state and where they're going, and this is going to depend on whether you're going first or second. So in this case, we're going to say they start with the Witch. If they start with the Witch, Mourner, Veiler, Imperm, always a good idea. Always a good idea to go ahead and take care of the Witch, especially if they go wanted in the draw phase, because typically that means they either didn't have the Witch to begin with and they needed it, and of course they're trying to play around Droll as well. But a lot of people are keeping, now that Droll's a little bit more in the format, they're not doing it as much, but just like a month ago, people would hold the wanted and kind of use it as an extender later on. But now you probably won't see as much of that. But either way, if they're using the Witch first, they probably need it, and it's always a good idea to Imperm, because what happens is it gives them a direct line into their Snake Eyes combo. So you don't want to allow that if you can. Now, there is the chance that they follow up by just normal summon Snake Eyes Ash, and here you are watching them full combo again. But in a lot of circumstances, I would say 90% of the time, it's right to deal with a Witch. Unfortunately, the Witch's effect cannot be ashed. That's why I say, depending on your hand traps that you have in your hand, which you're typically going to be drawing, what, 2? You got to make the most of them. So, again, Imperm, Veiler, Mourner on the Witch, great idea. The next card I want to talk about is the Fiendsmith Sequence. This card is absolutely crazy. It's really one of the only Fiendsmith cards that you want to interact with. And basically, Veiler, Imperm, Mourner, again, great on this card, because this is going to allow them to fusion, and it's going to allow them to go into more bodies. It's going to allow them to go maybe into like a Beatrice play. Keep in mind the Tractus in the graveyard. It can also do a fusion summon, but that's going to be really graveyard dependent, and it depends on where they go into the Fiendsmith engine at. Like, there will be hands where they go into Fiendsmith just to get the game started, and in those situations, you should always deal with the Fiendsmith stuff if you can. If they start with Fiendsmith stuff like Tractus or Engraver, then you're gonna want to deal with that. So those are some places you can Ash Blossom. But like I said, the sequence is gonna be the best place to interact with that deck, with that particular line. Let's talk about when they get to like the Princess, where to use Nibiru. If you only have one card in your hand and it's Nibiru, to be honest with you, I think it's best to nib at the first sign of an Appaloosa, because at the first chance they can make an Appaloosa, and you know, like, they can reasonably make it and continue to combo, that would be where I would use Nibiru. But right now, there's really no 100% correct place to Nibiru, unless you have like Imperm or Valor plus Nibiru, and at that point you can really just if you have Valor plus Nibiru, you can just wait till the end of their turn and just board wipe them. And they may be able to extend just a little bit, depending on whether they have the Diabell Star, and at that point they can do something. But most of the time it's not going to be enough to really make a difference. So Nibiru is good. It's just a matter of do you have a hand trap to pair with it, because it's very rare. It's very rare that they're gonna, you know, not play around Nibiru, because their typical inboard is going to have Appaloosa. They're going to have Appaloosa at the inboard. So you can't just sit there and hold it and hold it and hold it, and just hope they don't make Appaloosa. Any good player is going to make Appaloosa as early as possible. And typically they're going to make it to where Nibiru doesn't really matter. You know, they're going to have Flame Burge on the field. They're going to have Diabell Star in the Spelling Trap. Maybe even another card in the Speller Trap zone. You just don't want to depend on one Nibiru, but Nibiru is great this format against the deck. Another card right now, Ghost Ogre. I think Ghost Ogre is better than people think, because for them to get into their Fiendsmith stuff, they need bodies on the board, and if you leave them with one body on the board, there's no way they can go into it, unless it's, of course, the Fabled Luri, which, you know, unfortunately that card exists and is conveniently perfect for the Fiendsmith engine. But Ghost Ogre is actually good right now, because it's not bad going second. It's not bad to draw it. It's not bad to draw it going first or second, is what I'm saying. You can hit the Appaloosa, you can hit the IP, and it can't really be interacted with as far as with Desiree. Like Imperm can trade 1-for-1 with Desiree, like on the follow-up, like if you top deck an Imperm. So that's a pretty good thing. But anyways, talking about Desiree, going second, if it's your turn, and you have to deal with Desiree. This card is a little bit problematic depending on what they have set. A lot of Snake-Eye players are playing traps and spells that they set. Like if they set Wanted, they'll be able to negate Dark Ruler. So I don't think Dark Ruler is that good. I honestly think that Droplet is miles beyond Dark Ruler at the moment. Number one, if you play Dark Ruler, you're not going to be able to OTK that turn. And against Snake Eyes, that's very important. So what I will say on Dark Ruler, though, the negatives to it are you have to have a hand that enables Dark Ruler. For example, if you watch the NAWCQ match, the feature match against Team Samurai and the Gimmick Puppet player, you've seen the winning combo was Evenly plus Droplet. You're not always going to draw that. That's like unprecedented hand. Like that hand's like so good. Plus they had a discard that didn't matter to them, and then they had full combo in hand. So it was like the perfect situation. So that is the one issue with Droplet, is if you're playing Droplet and hand traps and you open up and you only got 4 cards in hand plus Droplet, you're going to have to get rid of at least one. And if you don't get rid of like a spell, Desiree will just be able to negate it anyway, or a trap. So it depends on what they have set. You know, if they have a set spell like Wanted or something, then and you don't have a spell to send with Droplet, they can just activate the Wanted, activate Desiree, negate the Droplet, and here you are. You've already neg-2'd yourself, and now you have 2 cards, and you're not winning that game. That's just how it is. So you just have to be careful how you interact with this. Another card is Infinite Impermanence. It does trade 1-for-1, because they have to respond to it. If you go Imperm on the Appaloosa, they have to Desiree, because I think the Appaloosa is more valuable. So it's pretty good. So Imperm, Dark Ruler, they're going to be your best bets against the Snake Eyes inboard. And then Ghost Ogre for the Appaloosa and IP specifically, as I mentioned before. But anyways, as far as other hand traps right now, of course, Dimension Shifter. If you're playing a deck that can play Dimension Shifter, just play it. That's broken. Another card is Raigeki. Raigeki is a lot better right now because less people are playing the Fire King variant, which Raigeki was kind of terrible against because they could just keep recurring. Again, it's another card that can trade 1-for-1 with Fiendsmith Desiree. But it's another card where if you draw multiples of it or you draw it plus Droplet, then it's gonna clean house basically. Unless the Appaloosa was made with IP or a situation like that, which depending on how they got to it may not be relevant. Another good board breaker right now, in my opinion, is Lightning Storm, because it basically does the same thing as Raigeki, and it can also deal with spells and traps. So if you are taking a board breaker approach, I think you should have Lightning Storm Dusters in your deck, because again, Snake Eyes is playing. Not only are they playing the best deck, they're also playing the best Floodgate in Skill Drain. I guess you could say maybe that's not the best Floodgate, but it's the only powerful Floodgate that's at 3 at the moment. So you have to have, I think you have to have ways to deal with that, at least in your side deck. So, and I notice a lot of people are not respecting back row as much anymore, for whatever reason. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Snake-Eye Fiendsmith is insane, and I hate it. But anyway, the deck's just crazy. I'm sorry that it exists in its full power at the moment, because if they have a good hand, I don't care how many hand traps you have, it's gonna be a hard day at the office for you. Now, again, that's why I say it's very important to interact with these decks at the perfect time. But we can't always do that. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next one.